The Orchis Tech Raid team for Marvel Strike Force are going to be the kings of the Tech Raid lanes for probably the next 12 months. So if you want to know the best way to build them, then join me in this video. What's going on, everyone? I'm BPG and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, I make at least 2 Marvel Strike Force videos every single week, usually based around the events within the game. Sometimes I do get a chance to sprinkle in videos like this, so if you find the content in this video helpful, then please do consider giving the video a like, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any other uploads that I do. And if you're new around here or not, please do leave a comment down below. I love to speak to every single one of you. So who are Orchis? Well, in the comics and the latest comic run, they are an organization that has links to Charles Xavier, and they are basically an anti-mutant faction. In Marvel Strike Force, they are the solution to the tech raid nodes for the raid on Orchis Raid. They'll be good probably for at least the next 12 months, so this team is well worth building. Personally, I'm already doing the tech nodes with just 3 members of Orchis that we have available to us at the moment, and at time of recording we have Nimrod due out today. They are from patch 8.3, so you know, very useful team. And let's see who they are comprised of. So the first character, this is a reworked character. This is Scientist Supreme, and we're going to go over her abilities, what I think about them, which ones I feel you should T for, which ones I feel you shouldn't T for. You know, which ones are a bit more of a luxury, and eventually just go over each and every one of the characters. So Scientist Supreme's basic is called Serum Pistol. It attacks the primary target for 200 damage and applies 2 random negative effects. Now, something that you might not know, but if ever you see something that says random negative effects, that means offense down, defense down, or slow. So it's going to apply 2 of those 3 effects, and it is unavoidable. If you want to T4 this, it's going to add 40% damage to the primary target, so plus 40%, so you're going to do 240% damage, and it is going to apply all 3 of those random negative effects. So it will apply offense down, defense down, and slow. This ability I would personally not T4 unless you are really like flush on T4s. Being a free-to-play player myself that's been playing for 2 years, I'm not as flush on T4s as some people are. So this would be a skip from me. Field Trials, this is her special. It's going to flip 3 negative effects into positive effects on self and all allies. For this character and all Orchis allies, it does do aim as well, but aim is at the moment a semi-dead team. It's going to apply regeneration for 2 turns, immunity for 1 turn, and it's going to increase the duration of all positive effects by 1 to a maximum of 3, and then it is going to heal self and all allies for 15% of this character's max health. And if you are going to T4, this is going to flip all your negative effects into positive effects. This is well worth a T4. It is definitely one that I have done myself. Next up, we have the ultimate. This is retro vaccination. This is going to heal self and all allies for 20% of this character's max health. In raids, is going to heal for 30% instead, so that is a massive heal. For all enemies and non-aim and non-Orchis allies, this is absolutely brilliant. It's going to apply defense down, offense down, and slow for 2 turns. It's going to apply speed up for 2 turns to self and all Orchis allies, which is going to give you even more speed. And this attack is unavoidable and gains 500% extra focus. And in raids, it is going to, if you T4 this, in raids, it's going to apply trauma to all enemies and non-aim and non-Orchis allies. At the moment, I do not have this T4'd because at present I am using a lot of, or 2 at least, non-Orchis allies, and I don't really want to put trauma on them. So at present, I have not got this T4'd. However, once more of the team comes out, this will be a T4 I will be doing. This is a very, what we call, nice to have T4. And the passive is Mad Science. On spawn, it's going to fill her speed bar by 50%. On turn, she's going to generate 1 ability energy for all aim and Orchis allies with a negative effect. It's going to give a 25% chance to revive an ally on turn with 30% max health. On ally summon, it's going to generate 1 ability energy for all Orchis allies. So remember that is a key point on ally summon. In raids, on spawn, generate 3 ability energy for self and generate 3 special ability energy for all Orchis allies. This means that every single member of the Orchis team will have their specials available on turn 1, so you don't need to worry about cooldowns where your specials are concerned. Mutant and bio enemies cannot gain immunity. That is a big call out to the nodes themselves in the tech lane, because there are a lot of mutant and bio characters. And if you upgrade this to T4, so level 5, if you're going to T4 this, on turn, you're going to generate 2 ability energy for all Orchis allies, rather than the 1 ability energy. And in raids, this character and all Orchis allies cannot gain trauma. That is also very, very key, especially with some of those nodes that have got the Spider Society members on them. Most particularly the Penny Parker that's on them. So this is a 100% definite T4. And so Scientist Supreme, there she is. She is a villain. She's global. She's tech. She's support. She's Orchis. She's also got the aim tag. My personal preference where ISO 8 comes is healer. I would take that all the way to blue 5 at least, because blue 5 is needed to do the Orchis 1.3, the difficulty 3. And how is she going to look when you have the team? Now, this is stats that I've pulled based on the team, as it will be free to play when you've got it unlocked. So this is your early days stats. So she is the highest health on the team. She has the 2nd highest damage on the team, which is really weird. She's got the highest armor, the highest focus, the highest resist. She is a speed of 118, so she is the 4th fastest character. However, with that speed bar increase that she gets on the, from her passive, that actually makes her go fairly quickly, and I'm pretty sure she starts the turn first. Next up is the 2nd reworked character, Lady Deathstrike. Her basic is Reaver Revenge. This is going to transfer 1 deflect from primary target to self, attack the primary target for 210% piercing, and if the primary target has bleed, repeat this attack. This attack is unavoidable and gains 300% extra focus. If you are to T4 this, it adds 40% piercing to all attacks, and if the primary target has bleed, it applies defense down. And this also happens on her ISO 8 and her counter and her assist attacks. So I think this is a very nice to have T4. It's not something I would rush out to T4 straight away, but it is certainly something that I would seriously consider putting a T4 on after we've put all the essentials on. Deadly Weapon, this is a special. Again, it is a 3 energy special, so Scientist Supreme is going to give you the energy to have this available on spawn. She's going to gain offense up for 2 turns. She's going to attack the primary and adjacent targets for 160% piercing and apply bleed and reduce speed bar by 20%. This attack is absolutely brilliant and insane. It's going to repeat the attack using a new primary target chosen randomly from the previous secondary targets. And this secondary attack can target stealth targets. And on kill, increase the duration of all positive effects on self and all weapon X allies. So this isn't really going to benefit the Orchis side by 1 up to a maximum of 5, but you can still use her in war with weapon X. If you T4 this one, and again, this is another one that I would say is a nice to have T4, it is going to add another 40% piercing, making that 200% piercing damage to the primary and adjacent targets. And it is going to apply 2 bleeds rather than the 1 bleed, which is obviously going to help with her mechanics that she's got of the primary target having bleed, repeating the attack with her basic. Adamantium Flurry, this is her ultimate. She's going to attack the primary target for 280% piercing, apply 1 defense down to a maximum of 2, and apply bleed. She's going to rebound to 3 adjacent targets for 280% piercing and apply 1 defense down up to a maximum of 2 and apply bleed. She's going to clear all negative effects from self and all Weapon X allies. That again doesn't affect the Orchis team. She's going to apply immunity to self and all Weapon X allies. I wish she had done that actually for all Orchis allies as well. Maybe they could have put that in the raid tag, but they didn't. And this attack cannot miss any target that has bleed. If this character has 3 or more Weapon X or Orchis allies, this attack cannot be countered. And the T4 on this is going to change the rebound chain to 4 targets rather than 3 and apply 2 bleeds to each target rather than 1. This again is a very nice to have T4. It is one that I will be doing after I have T4'd everything from Nimrod, certainly. Especially as she is one of the main, or the main damage dealer for the team. And her passive, Murderous Intent. Now, this is the one that I have T4'd already. On turn, she's going to heal herself for 20% of her max health. And she has a massive health pool with this new stat era that we're in. When this character drops below 60% health, gain 2 death proof. Gain 25% crit damage. Weapon X allies gain 25% crit damage. We don't need to worry about the war part. That's all Weapon X. But again, you know, slowly but surely, we've had a rework to Wolverine for Alpha Flight. We've had this rework. So slowly but surely, the Weapon X team is getting reworked one by one. And if you T4 this ability, when this character drops below 60% health, gain 2 evade. And you're going to lower the resistance by 50% for enemies with bleed. That is why it is a massively good T4. Those 2 evades are giving her a little bit more survivability and lowering the resistance of your enemies by 50% while they have bleed means that all your negative effects that you're going to put on them are going to land even easier. And there is Lady Deathstrike in game, and she is a villain. She's global, she's tech, she's a brawler, so very important if you're planning for DD8 at the moment and thinking about using the Orchis team there. She is a brawler, so be aware of that. There are a lot of those that you might want to use. She has the Orchis tag and the Weapon X tag. My personal preference of ISO 8 and what I recommend in my ISO 8s is Striker. And looking at her on the team as we have it now as free-to-play players, she is 2nd in health, 1st in damage, 2nd in armor, 2nd in focus, 2nd in resist. And with her amazing speed of 127, she is actually the fastest character on the team. Next up, we are going to go over Sentinel. And first off, we have Sentinel Blast. This is going to attack the primary target for 240% damage and apply offense down. It's going to apply counter to 3 random Orchis allies or self. And if you T4 this, it's going to add an additional 30% damage onto that, making it 270% damage to the primary target, and it's going to apply counter to self and all Orchis allies. Now, this is not the reason you want to T4 this ability. I've got this as a nice to have on the infographic, and it is a nice to have T4. However, I think it is possibly almost an essential T4 and would be the first T4 I would personally do after you've done all the essentials on every single other Orchis character. Why am I saying this? Because this ability being at level 7 also affects the summons that Sentinel bring in, the sword and the gun, and specifically the gun, because the gun's basic attack will do a turn bar rewind of 10%, but it only does that if you have the T4 on Sentinel Blast. Neutralize target. This is the special. This is going to summon 1 random Sentinel reinforcement ally, so either gun or sword. It's going to attack the primary target for 250 damage and then bonus attack 2 times for 100% damage. Apply defense up for 2 turns. And deflect to self and all allies. And if you put the T4 into this one, it is going to bonus attack 1 additional time and apply 2 deflects. So you're going to get 3 bonus attacks on this for 100% damage and apply the 2 deflects. Personally, myself, I think this is a very nice to have. It is not an essential because you've already got the summon of the Sentinel Reinforcement ally in the basics. So to T4 this with the extra bonus attack and the applying 2 deflex is just a very nice to have ability. We then have Elimination Protocol. This is the ultimate for Sentinel. It is going to summon 1 random Sentinel Reinforcement ally. It is going to attack the primary and adjacent targets for 300% damage and apply offense down. This attack gains 50% damage per Sentinel Reinforcement ally and is unavoidable. And if you upgrade this with the T4, it is always going to summon 1 Sentinel Reinforcement gun ally and 1 Sentinel Reinforcement sword ally. This is a must-have T4 in my opinion. Adding those Sentinel Reinforcement allies, this team works off of how many Orchis allies. They get extra abilities depending on the number of Orchis allies they have. So this is always a really good thing to have. So this is a must-have T4. And Mutant Hunter. This is the passive on spawn and on revive. You are going to summon 1 random Sentinel Reinforcement ally. On spawn, if this character has 2 or more Orchis allies, there you go. The summoned Reinforcement ally gains Taunt. Apply immunity to self and all Orchis allies. And on this character's first turn, it's going to gain Taunt and Safeguard. And if this character has 3 or more Orchis allies, enemies cannot gain Death Proof. So you can see how important these summons are because you need to keep the number of Orchis allies that you have around up. On this character's first turn, apply Safeguard for 2 turns to self and all Orchis allies. This, again, I believe is a must-have T4. Putting that Safeguard on them and them not being able to get trauma from the Scientist Supreme. Those 2 are brilliant abilities. And Sentinel is a villain. He is global tech. It's a protector class. So one of the, like, I don't know, protector's becoming a class that is getting quite crowded at the moment, especially this year. We've got Penny Parker, we've got Gladiator, we've got Sentinel. So this is becoming quite a crowded class in all honesty. And obviously it has the Orchis tag. My preferred ISO 8 and the recommended ISO 8 for this character is Striker. Whether you're at low stars, whether you're at high stars, Striker is absolutely fine on the Sentinel. And looking at Sentinel as you're going to get him, so this is as a 3 yellow, 3 red. So looking at how he looks on the team, he is 3rd highest in health. So still at a 3 yellow, 3 red, Sentinel is the 3rd highest character in the team, apart from the 2 reworks. When you get him to 7 yellow, 7 red, and everyone's on parity, then he becomes the biggest health pool on the team. His damage is poor. It is 5th, but I have actually found it to be really good, and that Striker helps tremendously where that is concerned. His armor is, again, 3rd. You can't go wrong with this guy. Focus is 4th, and his resist is 4th. And unfortunately, speed of 107, he is very slow. He is the 5th fastest on the team. Nimrod next. Now this guy is due out today, the 12th of September, and his his basic, is Hunter's Beam. This is going to attack the primary and adjacent targets for 240% damage and apply defense down. This attack is unavoidable, and if you want to T4 this one, it is going to add 40% damage to the primary and secondary targets and apply defense down for 2 turns. Now, I personally wouldn't do this T4 unless, again, you are very flush with T4s. Just applying an extra turn of defense down to, in my knowledge, where you have Scientist Supreme who can increase the duration of this anyway. I don't think it's overly worth it, in my honest opinion. Future Blitz, this is a 3 power or 3 cost, 3 energy cost special. So again, you're going to get this on spawn from Scientist Supreme anyway. So another ability that you don't need to worry about saving the cooldowns for. This is going to attack all enemies for 300% piercing. It's going to flip 3 random positive effects to negative effects on each target, and this attack gains 25% piercing per sentinel reinforcement ally. There you go. Look, so if we can get those 5 sentinel reinforcement allies on the table, that is going to make that attack 425% piercing. That is insane. It's going to apply ability block to the primary target, and in raids it is also going to apply stun to the primary target, and this attack cannot be dodged. If you put the T4 into this, it is going to flip all the positive effects on each target. That is amazing. It is going to apply ability block for 2 turns to the primary target, and in raids, apply ability block to all mutant enemies. This is a T4 that I think, in all honest opinion, is unskippable. This is an essential T4. His ultimate, Eradicate, is going to attack the primary target for 320% damage, apply defense down for 2 turns, and disruptive for 2 turns. This attack is unavoidable. It's going to gain, if you put the T4 into this, it's going to gain 80% damage to the primary and secondary targets, and this attack gains 100% crit chance. This again is a very nice to have ability. That 100% crit chance makes it really good, especially with the ISO 8 choice we are going to choose for Nimrod. And Sentient Sentinel, on kill, gain stealth. While this character has stealth, gain 30% damage and 30% crit damage. Gain 10% speed for each summoned tech ally up to a maximum of 50%. Now, there is a little trick you can do with the 4-piece where you can use Mysterio instead of Omega Sentinel, which is the next character we're going to go over. And this will give you a 30%, will give you 30% speed on Nimrod for each summoned tech ally. So you're going to have the 2 from Mysterio and the 1 from the Sentinel himself. So that is going to give you a 30% speed additional. In raids, Orchis allies gain 10% speed for each summoned tech ally as well. So that is going to give them, all your Orchis allies, that 30% speed, which is going to let you get ahead of everyone on the nodes in the tech raid nodes. On a successful attack by this character or any Orchis ally, you're going to apply heal block to each attack target. Brilliant. They've got a lot of AoE attacks in the Orchis team. And in raids, if you T4 this, if this character has 4 or more Orchis allies, lower the dodge chance of all enemies by 100%. This, again, means that the Sentinel reinforcement allies that they have are really, really important, because these are going to help you keep that 4 or more Orchis allies on the board. This is a definite T4, a must-have. And so taking a look at Nimrod, he is a villain, global tech blaster, so one of the least or lesser used classes where ISO 8 is concerned, especially if you're looking at putting purple ISO on him. He is also Orchis. Now, at low stars, so when we first get Nimrod, in my honest opinion, I think you are going to want to put the Skirmisher ISO 8 on him. This is because it is going to help with those focus issues that he is going to come across. And you will see why in just a second. But when you get him above 5 yellow/red stars, then you are going to be able to switch him to a Raider. And this is really good because Raider increases the crit damage. So you've got the 100% crit chance on his abilities, and you're going to get the extra crit damage out of the Raider ISO 8. For health, he is actually the 5th highest health, so we want to protect him as much as we possibly can and keep him as far away from anything that is going to taunt as we possibly can. He is 3rd highest, however, in damage for the team. When he is at full level, that is actually going to put him at 2nd highest in damage in the team. Armor, he is 4th, so not brilliant there. Focus, he's 3rd, but I think you could definitely do with that Skirmisher, especially when he is small, like a 3/3 when you just first unlock him. Resist, he is 5th, so he has the lowest resist and the lowest health. So he is like a glass cannon, basically, so you want to protect him. And he has a speed of 120, which is the 3rd highest on the team. And last but not least is Omega Sentinel. Her basic is Omega Breakdown. She's going to attack the primary target for 180% damage and rebound chain to 3 adjacent targets for 160% damage. She's going to apply regeneration to self and all Orchis allies. And in raids, this attack deals an additional 30% damage. That's going to make it 210% damage with a rebound chain for 190% damage to 3 adjacent targets. Counterattack will break this chain, and this attack is unavoidable. And if you T4 this, you are going to add 60% damage to the primary and secondary targets and apply regeneration for 2 turns instead of 1. Personally, I think this is another skip. The extra damage and the regeneration, although they are okay to have, I think this is one way you could save your T4s on this character. Cyborg Assault, this is a 3 energy special ability. So again, this one is going to get refreshed by Scientist Supreme. Attack the primary target for 280% damage. Apply regeneration to self and all Orchis allies. Apply defense up and speed up to self and all tech allies. In raids, apply defense up for 2 turns, speed up for 2 turns, and opposite up for 2 turns to all Orchis allies. Heal self and all allies for 15% of this character's max health. Those are all very good abilities. However, we already have Scientist Supreme doing quite a lot of this already for ourselves. To T4 this one, it is going to add 70% damage. That's going to give you a whopping 350% damage to the primary target. You're going to apply ability block to the primary target, and it is going to heal self and all Orchis allies for additional percentage of this character's max health. Now, Omega Sentinel does not have as much health as what Scientist Supreme does. So again, this is just another almost copycat ability of Scientist Supreme. It is something I would T4 if I was, it's a nice to have T4 because of that ability block. She is possibly the skippable stroke, one character that you can wait for as a player on the team is Omega Sentinel. Nano Blast, this is her ultimate. This costs 5 energy. It's going to attack all enemies for 140% piercing. It's going to then bonus attack all enemies for another 140% piercing. It's going to apply stun to 2 random mutant and tech enemies. I don't like that it's random. And in raids, it is going to instead apply stun to all mutant and tech enemies. It's all right. That was previously all tech enemies, I believe, to start off with. And they added the mutant tag in. So makes sense because they are a mutant hunting team. Heal self and all allies for 15% of this character's max health. Heal self and all Orchis allies for an additional 15% of this character's max health. This attack is unavoidable. And if you T4 this one, it is going to add an additional 30% piercing to the primary and secondary attacks and apply the stun for 2 turns rather than the 1 turn. Again, this is a very nice to have T4. It is not an essential T4 for the character. And again, I'm going to say this again, it is very much more healing for the team, which I don't currently feel they need. And it is a job that Scientist Supreme does extremely, extremely well. Living Sentinel. This is her passive. On turn and each summoned tech ally's turn. So this will even work with Mysterio as well and his bot. Heal self and each Orchis ally for 10% of this character's max health. If that ally's health is full, instead barrier that ally for 10% of this character's max health. That is quite nice. The barrier is quite nice, especially as it is on turn and each summoned ally's tech ally's turn. That is quite a nice ability. On enemy turn end, attack the most injured enemy for 150% damage. On death, she's got a 30% chance to revive with 30% of her health. In raids, if she has 4 or more Orchis allies, enemy characters cannot gain defense up. That is really nice. That is, you know, countering some of those characters on the tech nodes. For each summoned tech ally, gain 35% revive chance and revive with an additional plus 10% of this character's max health. So that could get you up to 80% of the character's max health with 100% chance basically to revive, because it is for each summoned tech ally. So that will stack and lower the max barrier of all enemies by 20%. So that is quite nice as well. If you T4 this, it is all raid based. So this isn't a T4 that you would need for outside of the raids, but inside the raids, if she doesn't have ability block, then they cannot gain slow. So the North Star ultimate that opens on the tech nodes, that is going to be null and void. It's not going to be null and void, but it's not going to apply the slow to you. And in raids, she's going to attack the most injured enemy for an additional 150 damage. So that is 300% damage every enemy end of enemy turn. She's going to attack the most injured enemy for 300% damage. That is adding a nice little tick of damage every single time in the raids. And there is our Omega Sentinel in the game, a little bit different to what they made in the comics, which is behind me there. She is a villain, global tech support, and Orchis member. That's the tag she has. My recommended ISO 8 is Raider for her. That is correct. Why? She has multiple attacks. You could put Skirmisher on her. You could put Healer on her. In all honesty, like I said, she really isn't a needed member in the team. The 4-piece, which is Lady Deathstrike, Nimrod, Sentinel, and Scientist Supreme, those are your key engine for the entire team. And you can see this in her stats as well. So her health, she is 4th highest health on the team. Her damage, she is the 4th highest damage in the team. Her armor will be the 4th highest. Her focus will be the 4th highest. Her resist will be the 3rd highest. And she is the 2nd highest in speed. But she is one of the, you know, she's not a great character at the 3 yellow, 3 red. She really needs to be higher than that to activate herself. And in all honesty, when she is 7 yellow, 7 red, she is a lot better. But early days, you might be better off just waiting to use her until you've got more stars on her. And here is the infographic that I have made. This one will be available in the community tab, and if you want to get it also, I will be putting a link down below to the Jetson Squad Discord where I put all my infographics. This will be in the MSF infographic page. You just come into the Discord and say you are here with BPG. They will give you the correct tag to be able to access these infographics. And so the Orchis tech team, a 4-piece tech team really, that you can make the 5th with Omega Sentinel. I wish she was just a little bit better. I would feel a little bit better about building her, but we will build her nonetheless because she is one of the new characters and it follows my strategy. What do you think of the Orchis tech team? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think anything needs to change on the infographics? What do you think of them? Again, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget, if this video has been of any help to you, please do consider giving it a like. And until next time, everyone, stay positive.